concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
You couldn't hear me, but I was singing along to that whole thing. What? Why are we... Oh, there we go. Oh, no. Alex. Alex. Oh, my God. Hang on. Let's do it again. No, I'm just joking. There we go. Hi! Oh, welcome to Monday night. It's Monday. It's 8 p.m. It's time for some Q&A. Thank you, Kevin Hagen. I have a beautiful voice. Someday I'll release my edit. Patrons only. Me singing along to that song. I'll have to practice it. But what's up, guys? It's a busy chat. I was hanging out in the chat. I saw Ladrib. I saw Tack FPV. If y'all don't know who Tack... I mean, I just assume y'all know who Ladrib is, right? But if y'all don't know who Tack FPV is, go check him out. He is a southern boy. He is a fun guy to hang out with. He's got his own little vibe going on, and he's got a frame coming out that I am pretty freaking interested in. In fact, I'm trying to work out meeting him in Chattanooga this week maybe and doing some testing of his frame. But... more about that later. I figured if he came out into the live stream, the least I could do is give his frame a little shout out. You don't know, it's not up yet. You can't find it. I would link to it, but it's not on the web yet. Hawkeye FPV. Now you stop that. Tack the best drone pilot. Stop. No. I'm not saying Tack is a bad pilot. He's a good pilot. He's a fun guy, but you do not need to say those things about him. You will give him a big head. He doesn't need that. Oh, here's what we're gonna start with. I always like to start my streams with a little bit of sort of news of the day, a little bit of discussion, and I just while y'all trickle in, and what I want to start with is this. If I were better prepared, I would have had it preloaded, but I was too busy singing. I was too busy singing along with the song. He knows who. James Carr, Guillermo Nispolo knows exactly who Ladrib is. He's just jerking your chain. He's just jerking your chain. Mr. Smithers FPV. Every time Bardwell says "and," take a shot. I'll tell you what. I was a professional instructor, a professional classroom instructor for many years before at the very beginning of my career. And one of the things they taught us was not to say like neutral, like words like not to fill your negative space in your communication with ums. If you hear me say you could take a shot. I shouldn't say very much. We'll see. What I want to start with today is this. It's good that Drew is here because Drew, no, not this guy. Screw this guy. Really, we don't need to see any more of that guy. What I want to start with is this. This guy too. The Rotor Riot Team Pilots, a new lineup of Rotor Riot Team Pilots has been announced. This video just came out today, recently. I just saw it, and I wanted to make sure you guys saw this. It's very exciting, and I'm especially excited. You go check this out. Just go to the Rotor Riot, and you can see who the new lineup is. But I am especially excited to have no, screw this guy, really. I'm especially excited to have Lil Stellar Fox, Jamie Hodges, and Zoe Stumbaugh, Zoe FPV, as members of the Rotor Riot team. When the last Rotor Riot announcement went out, the last pilots, sometime maybe a year ago, not quite, I said, you know what people are going to say about the lineup, and I feel this way too. Why are there no female pilots on Rotor Riot? And I said, and that's a difficult question to answer. Well, I'm not going to go into all the discussion of what the answer was, but everybody agreed that there are females out there flying, and that Rotor Riot, in as much as it reflects the people, I shouldn't speak for anybody else other than myself. I think everybody was on the same page, though. That there needed to be women in Rotor Riot as well, and if there weren't, then we weren't, doing a good job of reflecting the community. And the tough part about it was that you don't want to just go, okay, well, let's just pick someone simply because they're a woman. That's not fair. It's not just that it's not fair, it's not respectful. And there's too many good female pilots out there to have to do that. Suffice it to say, there are other reasons why somebody might not be a cast member. Logistical reasons. You have to be able to take off work, and come to shoots. And we started looking, and obviously Zoe, people have been asking, why isn't Zoe a member of Rotor Riot? For a long time. She was in some of the earliest Rotor Riot episodes. She did 3D with Mr. Steele. And suffice it to say that I'm very, very happy that that day has come, that Rotor Riot has a couple of great female pilots and cast members. And I'm super psyched about the new lineup. So, fantastic. Yep. And here's the thing that I think that the definition of what it means to be in the Rotor Riot cast has expanded, because when Rotor Riot started, every single one of the cast members was a world-class pilot. And that made a certain type of show. But what FPV has expanded. FPV is more mainstream than it was. There are more people in FPV. And I like the fact that, Rotor Riot contains some people who aren't world-class pilots. I'll call myself out rather than call anybody else out. Obviously, you look at somebody like a Vanover, he is no question a world-class pilot. But when I got invited to be on the show, I was like, I know these guys aren't asking me here because I'm good at freestyle. And I know you guys in the chat are going to be like, you're good at freestyle. I know, but let's face it. I like to say I spend a lot of time making videos and other people spend a lot of time flying. But I mean, I bring something to the table. And if you look at each of the pilots, they all bring something to the table, regardless of where they are, necessarily at their level as a pilot. And I think that's really cool. So there we go. You can go check that out. Yeah. There's one more thing. There's one more thing I'm going to say before I start. I will get to your questions. There's one more thing I want to say, and that is it has to do with, I can't speak for anybody else, but my position as regards to Rotor Riot, because I think there's some confusion out there about it. And for example, what made me want to say this is somebody reached out to me and he said, hey, I know this isn't a Rotor Riot frame, but do you think you could review this other frame? And I'm like, whoa. What do you think is going on here? Because I think that some people out there might have an impression that since I'm a Rotor Riot cast member, that I must like that I'm just kind of like bought and paid by Rotor Riot. I don't know what the deal is. So I'm extremely thrilled to be a Rotor Riot cast member. I have a great time when we go on shoots. I like the people. I mean I don't get paid to be on shows because I just enjoy doing it. I'm very I feel very privileged to be there, and I feel very privileged to be able to contribute my time. Frankly, getting to go out into the, you know me, I never leave my house. Getting to go out into the world and hang out with people and go to cool locations. I need someone to drag me out of the house every now and then and make a vlog. And it's really great that Rotor Riot does that. But I don't actually have, I'm not an employee, and I have actually tried really hard to stay away from product ties because so that I can still have a sort of a neutral voice when it comes to like you'll notice I haven't reviewed any of the Rotor Riot Pilot frames, and it's not that they're not good frames. It's just that when I think about that, I go, if I all of a sudden start reviewing Rotor Riot products, people are going to think that I'm like biased towards them. So I like being on the show, and I feel like I want to contribute to the show, but then I go, which is, anyway. So I just wanted to get that out there. I still, first and foremost, feel like I work for you guys, and I want to keep my objectivity as much as I can. But I also love being on the show and love making content with them. And, yeah, so we'll get that out of the way. All right. Dustin Lewis says, sorry, not buying it. Bias exists. It's just human nature. Dustin, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And it's because bias exists. But bias exists, but you can be aware of bias and try to take steps to mitigate it. So, for example, I like Drew. I've never said that out loud. No. I like Drew. Drew's a cool guy. His frame is a good frame. And when I sit down and I go, and Drew sometimes says, hey, why do you want to review my frame? And I go, because I know that the fact that I like Drew would color not only my perception of his product, but your perception of my review of his product. And I go, and as long as I'm on the show, and as long as there's sort of this predisposition, I kind of like try to stay away from the products, So in a sense, I see that as a trade-off. I am on the show. I don't ask for money in exchange for being on the show, and the flip side is I kind of feel like I lock myself out of some of the products. Yeah. Anyway. Master of Disaster. When am I going to be on Cappuccino's talk show? Cappuccino's talk show has been canceled, I'm sorry to say. Okay. Let's see here. Make sure there's no more questions coming in. Anyway. Congratulations to the new Rotor Riot lineup. That's it. Here's what I got going on here, guys. Here's what I got going on here. This is my screen. Here in the upper right, I got your comments, and I will be answering as many of them as I can. The comments go by way too fast for me to answer all of them, so if you want to make sure I see your comment and get to it, hit the $, throw a couple bucks at my face, and I will definitely not miss your comment. They just get pulled out here into the super chats. And over here on the left, this is my Discord server. Discord server is a chat server, and you can join the Discord server by becoming one of my patrons. Link down in the video description to my Patreon lets you join the Discord server, and I'll be monitoring questions there as well. So that's the deal. Let's do it. A lot of questions about TBS Fusion. So let's talk about TBS Fusion. First of all, will I be reviewing the TBS Fusion? Yes, absolutely. I got notification that it shipped, and it is coming on Tuesday. I plan to go. There's a great location in Chattanooga where you get a lot of multipath. And I plan to go there and do some module testing with the Fusion and the Rapidfire on Wednesday. So that probably means you will see a video by like Monday, maybe. That's just how long it takes to do it. I'm looking forward to testing it. So is the TBS Fusion worth buying today? Should you buy the TBS Fusion? Well, here's the thing. I think that what will make the TBS Fusion work for you is not whether it has the best RF performance. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think that even TBS has said that the TBS Fusion will not beat the Rapidfire in every case, and it feels to me very much like they're hedging their bets. Like they're like, because if TBS thought they could beat the Rapidfire, they would be saying, we will destroy the Rapidfire. We are TBS. We are the best. And since they're not saying that, I think that's kind of all you need to know about whether it's going to beat Rapidfire in terms of pure RF performance. But at the same time, there may be reasons to get it. It has all these extra features like interface with Crossfire and interface with the Unify, where you can get OSD and the goggles. I don't know. It's got all these extra features. But as a pure receiver module, I think you're going to have to decide whether it works for you on the basis of the interface and the feature set. And as far as the RF performance goes, I think if you want the absolute tip top of RF performance, I think Rapidfire is the one for you. So that's the TBS Fusion. Not much more to say about that until I get it and I can test it. Thomas Bird Jr. says, when I arm in Crossfire, motors don't spin, but when I roll or pitch, my motors spin. What's wrong? Thomas Bird Jr., almost certainly you have turtle mode activated. In turtle mode, when you arm, the motors don't spin. If only 2 motors spin, that's turtle mode. You've got turtle mode active and you just don't know it yet. Let's see here. Only patrons can hear you say join Patreon. What do you mean, Rick? Am I going over? Yeah, I'm going over. Join. Oh, I see. Terminal LCPL in the Discord said join Patreon. Only people in Discord are other patrons. They all did it. There was a question in the Discord. Let me roll back to it. There's a question in the Discord, which was, Heli Truckin in the Discord, thanks for being a patron, Heli Truckin, asks, can you tell me the difference between the Taranis X9 Plus SE and the new 2019 model? Is it worth the pre-order wait? So let's look at the product page for the Taranis 2019 X9D Plus. This is the new version of the Taranis X9D. And what's different about it? Well, let's just go check it out in the product page because they probably break it out for you. One of the things that's different is they've added a new momentary button for those who use discus launch gliders. So there is an additional momentary button here on the left side, right here, this button here. And the idea is a person launching a DLG with their right hand can hold that button down. That if you fly DLGs, then you know that they'll change like the elevator position and the flaps for launch versus glide. So there's another momentary switch. That's kind of cool. But the big stuff, of course, it's got, if you look at the front here, it's got the scroll wheel similar to the X9 Lite. That's kind of cool. But overall, it's pretty much an X9D SE, except it has the new Access Protocol stuff. Now, if you want to see an overview of what FreeSky Access is, I've got a video right here, FreeSky X Lite Pro and X9, what is Access Protocol? And you can check that out. I'll paste that in the Discord for you there, Heli Truckin', and I'll paste that in the chat for you guys who are following along. And that is a big Nice face there, Joshua. That's a big overview of all the stuff that Access brings to the table. But the short version is, for some people, I mean, Access has some cool features, but it also, by going to an Access radio, you are losing out on some things. For example, and the Access radios do not support D8 protocol receivers. So if you have an Emax Tiny Hawk or any of those micro, especially if you have micros, if all you fly are 5-inch quads, you probably don't have any D8 receivers and you won't care. But if you fly micros, and let's face it, micros are more popular than they ever have been and growing. If you fly micros, you probably have some D8 receivers out there. You will need an external module in order to get D8 support. For some people, that's going to be okay. If you look at that video, it will show you the things that Access brings to the table, and you'll go either, I don't really care about that, or you'll go, oh, that's cool. One of the biggest things that Access is supposed to bring to the table is over-the-air firmware updates, which means that when you update your firmware, you don't have to plug the receiver into the radio or your computer. You just update, and of course Crossfire has done this for a while. However, even that, like if all Access radios and receivers did that, I would be much more enthusiastic about Access. But it turns out that some of them aren't going to be able to do it, and I don't know, it's disappointing. So personally, I don't think the X9D Plus 2019 is like a must-have upgrade. If you look at the Access protocol and you go, oh, I really want that, then sure, that's a great radio to get. And it can be made to work with Crossfire. It is not nerfed like the QX7, so the X9 Plus 2019. It will work with Crossfire, but the firmware that FreeSky is shipping on it, it doesn't. You have to download an OpenTX build and flash it yourself. So there you go. There you go. Okay. Rick wants to know, have you heard any news on when FreeSky will make Access firmware for old radios? No, Rick. Sorry, no news there. In theory, radios like the X9D, the old X9D, are supposed to get Access, but I don't think FreeSky is like in a big hurry to do that. The whole point of Access is to get you to move to newer hardware that doesn't support Crossfire. Yeah. Let's see here. Is Rapidfire, Joseph Mendez in the regular chat asks, is Rapidfire compatible with the Dominator V3? Yes, it is. However, you may have to do the inverter mod. You do have to do the inverter mod, Joseph Mendez. Dom V3 requires it. Bach FPV says, I have the following problem. The quad arms, I take off, but when I raise the throttle, 2 engines stop. Bach FPV, does the whole quad disarm? If the whole quad disarms, you could have a runaway problem. Board alignment incorrect, prop on incorrect. But if just 2 motors stop when you raise the throttle, that's pretty weird, dude. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Moto1 wants to know, can you charge 2 batteries of the same capacity but different C rating? Yes, you can, Moto1. The C, if you think about it, when you're charging, you're typically charging at 1 or 2 C at most. So the C rating of the battery really doesn't affect anything. It's not a big deal at all. Tom Jenkinson. Tom, I don't want to dive too deep into this issue because I try and keep my content focused on FPV and not on political or social issues that may divide us. But every so often, I do feel like it's important to speak out about a social issue, and then I deal with the backlash for the next 3 or 6 months. But there you go. And Tom asks, is it sexist or justified the way people have been trolling the new Rotor Riot girls? Women? Girls? Okay, just on me. I'm getting grossed out by the dudes in our community. Tom, I mean, I think we all can see some behavior that we think is inappropriate, and I think we all have to decide for ourselves. The least you can do is you can be respectful to people, and if you feel like you have it within you, you can speak up. And because if you remember, let's go back to a situation I think I can identify with, which is, you're in the lunchroom in grade school and you're getting picked on. No, just me. And there's one guy who's being a bully, and there's 20 other people who aren't saying anything. And if you see some behavior that you think is inappropriate and you feel like you can say something, then you can. And it doesn't mean that anybody needs anybody to stick up for them. It doesn't mean that people are weak. It just means that in a social context, people take cues about what behavior is appropriate and what behavior is inappropriate. And by communicating, hey, that's not okay here, that is something everybody can do when they see it happening. So, all right, enough about that. I gotta say, I spent the week in Orlando last week, roughly last week, maybe 2 weeks, shooting episodes, and I got to hang out with Zoe more than I ever have, and I have always been impressed with Zoe's flying. Everybody knows she's like the queen of 3D. But on top of that, I became I need to up my game in terms of technical content because Zoe brings a ton of technical knowledge to the table that I totally didn't know about. She is really technically strong and knowledgeable, and it was great because most of the time I feel like everybody else in Rotor Ride is a moron, and I'm the smartest guy in the room. I have to say something because I'm not the best pilot in the room. No, I'm kidding. It was really great to be able to just hang out and nerd out with her. So I'm super excited about that. UAV Tech is here in the chat. Speaking of smart people who make now if UAV Tech is one of the guys who makes me feel a little bit dumb, but gosh, I'm glad he's out there because he is tuned into Betaflight development and Betaflight PID and filter tuning, and I'm so thrilled he's making the content that I don't have the chops to make anymore. The Betaflight has PID tuning and filter tuning has gone so far beyond, and I just try and grasp any bits I can hang on to, but UAV Tech is deep in it and making great content about it, so I'm glad he's here. Let's see here. Moto 1, I answered that question. You can charge 2 batteries of the same capacity but different C rating. Did you miss it? I got it. Macy wants to know, what's the purpose of access? What strategic advantage could this give Free Squad? I'm not even sure what access is. Well, like I said, Macy, go over to my channel, check out my video about what is access protocol, and it will tell you what new features it brings to the table. It does bring new features, interesting features to the table. There's no question that it is also a strategic move by Free Sky to help lock out other people. Let's see. Ivan Coleman, let's just not go there. Let's just not go there. I don't want to get in. Let's keep it focused on FPV, please. The statements like that are going to be inflammatory, and let's just not. Let's just not. Dark Sagan says, how come you weren't listed in the video of Rotor Riot members? Dark Sagan, I watched the video. I'm pretty sure I was in it. I am a cast member. App User wants to know, nice username there, App User, is F-Port faster, have less latency than TBS Crossfire? Very good question, and I would like to show you this Google Doc. This Google Doc. This is a Google Doc. I will paste the link in the chat for you. This is some testing done by, you know what? I would have to look at the document owner because I don't actually remember who it is. But this doc shows and don't forget, look, there's a bunch of other tabs down here. There's a bunch of tabs down here. But here in the summary tab, this is latency testing for various different protocols and radios. Is F-Port lower latency than Crossfire? Let's find out. F-Port, here we go. X9 Lite, OpenTX. I mean, ER-Sky9X, I think, has a little bit of a performance advantage, but I think most people are running OpenTX. So here's X9 Lite, OpenTX, D16, RxSR, F-Port, average 16.5 milliseconds. Crossfire, Taranis OpenTX Crossfire, 14.4 milliseconds. They're pretty close. They are pretty freaking close. But Crossfire is slightly faster. However, that's Crossfire at 150 hertz. When Crossfire goes to 50 hertz, the latency goes way up. And Crossfire goes to 50 hertz, depending on your output power, it goes to 50 hertz closer than you might think. So there may be some situations where F-Port beats Crossfire. Then again, F-Port probably also slows down the further away you get, but nobody notices because you can't do latency testing that way. So they seem pretty close. They seem pretty close. Eric Popke, what's the diameter on the lens for the DJI FPV Air Unit? Drib told me that he replaced his with a camera. Is he still in the chat? You still in the chat, Drib? What lens did you use to fix your DJI camera? Dribs broke the camera on his and used a lens from one of his FPV cams, but I don't remember which one. Not all of them work, however. Swamp Dog wants to know in the Discord, by the way, and thank you for being a patron, Swamp Dog. I hope the family's doing well. Thank you. They are. I was building a new quad. I do have a family. I don't know if a lot of people don't know this. I have a family. I have 2 sons, a wife, 2 dogs. Anyway, they're doing well. I was building a new quad and was kind of bummed to have to use a UART for F-port. Can S-Bus pad be remapped for F-port? It was an F7 board, if that makes a difference. Swamp Dog, your question confuses me a little bit because if you have an F7 processor, you shouldn't have an S-Bus pad. The reason that a flight controller would have an S-Bus pad is because it's an F4 processor and it needs an inverter, and you can't just use a UART, generic UART pad. On an F7 board, you should just have UARTs. They can do whatever. And you could use any UART TX pad for F-port. It should work. On an F4 processor, you need a pad that has a bidirectional inverter. And if you have a SmartPort telemetry pad, then that will work. But if you don't, then it may not work. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's get some super chats out of the way. We're only a half hour into the stream. Thank you, super chats. I will get to you. I got a little carried away. Monster Zombie says, "Can you answer my question?" If your question had been in that message, I might have answered it, but now I will look away and probably not look back for a few minutes, and I might miss it. If you want to make sure I get your question, the best way to do it is to hit that $sign and then put it in a super chat, although it's a half hour into the stream and I'm only just now getting to them, so maybe that's not the best endorsement. Here we go. Jack Bisson, thank you for $2 in the super chat. Can you comment on the S4 and Johnny prop? I have flown the S4 prop. It's a pretty good prop. It is definitely a lower pitch prop, and my style is a little more for higher pitch props and bigger motors. So the S3 and the S4 prop are not my favorite, but if you like lower KV, a little bit weaker, smoother motor, and a little bit more linear throttle with a little less top end, the S4 is a pretty good prop. The Johnny prop from Azure, I haven't flown it, but several people I know love it. Love it. So I should try it, I guess. I think if you're looking for a new freestyle prop and you think the Johnny prop might be a good way to go, it's definitely worth buying a couple sets and seeing if you like them. Brian Chambers, thanks for $10 just because you value my time. Thank you, Brian. That's it. Jack Bisson, thanks for $20. Jack Bisson he meant to send $20 when he spent $2, so now he sent $20. Thanks, Jack Bisson. Very generous. Thank you, sir. JJLL12341, thanks for $5. No question. Thank you, Jay. Thaddeus Olivier, thank you for $5. Oliver, Thaddeus. Seth Patton, thanks for $2. Could you set throttle to invert on a switch for 3D? Yes, Seth, you absolutely could. So what some people would do for 3D is set their quad up for 3D, but instead of the throttle position being 50% and above, that's how 3D usually works. Above 50% is up, below 50% is down. What some people think about doing is having like the momentary switch reverse the throttle, but the throttle always goes up. You just lower the throttle all the way down, flip the switch, and it basically inverts the throttle channel, but for you, the throttle always works the same. Here's what I have to say about that, though. There aren't that many 3D pilots out there, but the ones that do exist, none of them do it that way. Ask Zoe, and if she says they do it that way, then fine. When you watch Zoe fly, and if you go watch Zoe's freestyle flights, when she's constantly switching, zip, 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 she's doing TikToks and whatnot. When you think you wouldn't be able to do that with just like a momentary switch. So I think if you're gonna fly 3D, do it the way, like if you're going to learn to fly quads, fly mode 2. That's just what everybody does. And if you're going to fly 3D, at least start with a standard 3D throttle and then decide if it's a good idea to modify that, That's what I would say. Gary Weatherford, thanks for $5. On the Kakute F7 4-in-1 pin, what does the I stand for next to the motor inputs? Gary, the I, in electronic circuits, the letter I almost always stands for current. It means current. I is current. Why is it not C? I don't know about that. It probably has something to do with the Greek language. I don't know. But I is current, and I means on the Kakute, it is analog current sense input. If your ESC has an analog current sense out, that's where that will go. Dexter Johnson, thanks for $5. Never flew in angle mode. What does angle mode do when flying, and what does horizon mode do? Dexter, in acro mode, when you push the stick forward, the quad rotates forward. When you push it backward, it rotates backward. And when you center the stick, the quad stays at whatever angle it was at. So think about acro mode as if the stick is pushing the quad to rotate, but the quad will hold its angle when you center the stick. In angle mode, when you center the stick, the quad levels back out again. So you push the quad forward, and then it moves forward, and as soon as you center the stick, it levels out again. That's angle mode. Horizon mode is kind of a combination of angle and acro mode. The way horizon mode works is the quad is in auto level mode, such that when you center the stick, it levels back out again. But in horizon mode, when you keep deflecting the stick, eventually the quad enters acro mode, and what horizon mode is basically like angle mode, but you can do flips and rolls. Martin, thank you for $5. Do you see a market in American-built autopilot for aerial photography or in the FPV world? American-built hardware and firmware. I've never heard of American-built autopilot, so I couldn't tell you. I don't know what that is. I just Googled it and I didn't really get any results. American-built hardware and firmware. I guess, Martin, what you're asking is there a market for American-built hardware and firmware? Martin, that's a tough one. The question is always, what will people pay for? And if you look at the history of FPV, we just seem to be really, really cheap bastards. Anytime you have a premium product at a premium price, it is very difficult to get people to buy it. So, will people pay more for American-built firmware? Some of them will. But I think historically that's not where most people are at. Danny Bravo, thanks for $5. Will your F7 flight controller have the pads for individual E setup? Yes, it will. Do you believe individual ESCs are going away? No. 4-in-1s have definitely gotten popular, but individuals aren't going away. In fact, if you look, one of the best and most expensive ESCs you can get today is the T-Motor. Oh, not that one. The individual. Where's the individual? The T-Motor F45, I don't want the 4-in-1 though. Where's the regular one? No, there it is. That's the that's the 45 amp. No, that must be it. T-Motor F45 is a freaking $30 ESC. This is a bomb diggity ESC, but geez, I'm not sure I would ever pay $30 for it. I mean, it's worth it. It's like really bulletproof, like 40 volt rated FETs, just super good ESC, and that's one of the most expensive. You could bet a 4-in-1 for the price of 2 of these. So no, I don't think these are going away. But there you go. Raven 187, thanks for $2 Australian. Thoughts on the new Foxeer Wildfire module? Here's what I say about the Foxeer Wildfire module. Let's just put a picture of that up on screen for. Let's put a picture of that up on screen for all of our edification. The Foxeer Wildfire module. Oh, here we go. This will do. Is a new FPV module from Foxeer. Everybody's getting in the game, and similar to the Rapidfire, the TBS Fusion, and the True DX. This is supposed to have the quote-unquote unicorn magic technology. The anti-rolling shutter avoids the unsync picture. It's supposed to have all this stuff. Here's what I say about this. Building a very good receiver module is easy to do poorly and difficult to do well. I think that this will perform okay. I think it will probably perform better than standard diversity modules, but I think it's a very, very challenging thing to make something that's going to beat something like Rapidfire. However, it's supposed to come in, I've heard a rumor of like $90. At a price of $90, maybe it will be competitive against something like the True DX. The thing is, though, don't rush to buy this. I know Foxeer is very sad that I'm saying this. This is not meant as like an insult against Foxeer. It's just that in reality, the very first versions of these modules often have problems, and I think the Foxeer will probably be no exception. So don't jump to buy it until you're sure there's no bugs. Okay. Thank you, Super Chats. We are now caught up on the Super Chats. So I'm going to try. Jetty Jacob asks in the Discord, thanks for being a patron, Jetty Jacob. Have you flown any of the dual gyro F7 boards with a rotated gyro? Did you see any real-life filtering advantages? That's a very good question, Jetty Jacob. And what Jetty Jacob is referring to is a thing called sensor fusion. Sensor fusion means that the board has two gyros on it, and they are rotated sometimes 90 degrees, sometimes 45 degrees to each other. And that means that magic math can happen that basically helps them filter noise better. Examples of boards with this function include the SP Racing H7 line. In fact, I think it was one of the first. The iFlight Success Twin G line. And there's one more. I'm blanking. Anyway, I haven't tested these, and I would love to send one of these boards to Mr. UAV Tech Sensor. Let me ask him. I would love to send one of these to Mr. UAV Tech and have him test it because he has a dual flight controller setup. And in fact, you could send two of these boards and you could actually set them to use just one gyro and compare them. I would love for him to do that because he is definitely the man to do that. Oh, yeah, I'll put him on the spot. He'll say no. He'll just pretend I'm not there. I know for a fact he'd love to do it. It's just a question of when he'll have time. But yeah, I haven't. I think that nobody's better qualified than him to demonstrate whether these have some advantage or not. Let's see here. Kimbo FPV. Oh, he has some tests set up. Listen, Mark Spatz, I know he'll come up with some crazy good ideas about how to test them, but he did some tests previously with two different flight controllers mounted on the same stack and comparing the gyro readings for them. And so it seems like that would be a great setup. MC Creations says UAV Tech already tested the iFlight flight controller. Yeah, but did he actually demonstrate whether they had an advantage? Let's look. I'm subbed to him, but I don't hit the notification bell. Let's see what he came up with. Where is it? Let's just search for iFlight. Nope. Where would it be? Oh, there it is. iFlight Success Twin Fusion Review and Sensor Fusion Tech. Well, obviously we're not just going to sit here for 12 minutes and watch the video, but that is a video you can check out if you want to hear more about that. Okay. Jacob Bothell wants to know, do we ever get sick of answering the same questions? Nope. Nope. I just like to help people. Monster Zombie wants to know, I hurt my left hand and can't use my thumb. Should I try pinching? I mean, that's... What am I supposed to say to that, Monster Zombie? Try it. You don't really need me. Do you want my blessing? Okay. Try it. There's some questions that are technical questions that you need me to answer for you. But in this case, it's like, I can't decide whether I want to get pizza or a sandwich for lunch. What do you think I should do, I'm like, I don't know. Just fucking get... Pardon me. Sorry, parents. Just get... Do whatever you want. Try pinching for a couple packs. If you don't like it, go back to thumbing. I don't know. Do what you got to do. No, I'm sorry. You probably just want my insight. I shouldn't be a smartass about it. So you hurt your thumb, right? Well, you're still going to use your thumb for pinching, right? So I think if you hurt your thumb, you're just going to have a hard time flying. But definitely give it a try. Give it a try. Controller Man Dan wants to know, how often do you get random fail-safes for no reason? I've replaced the receiver 3 times. Is FlySky just really that bad? Controller Man Dan, I seldom get fail-safes. When I fly with 2.4 gigahertz, I have RSSI in the OSD, and I pay attention to the RSSI. I can't remember the last time I just got a random out-of-nowhere fail-safe. If you're consistently getting fail-safes and you've replaced the receiver 3 times, your flight controller might be screwed up. However, If you're flying R9, there could be issues. The number one issue with FreeSky R9 that causes that problem is mismatched firmware. So definitely flash both the receiver and the module to the same firmware if you're using R9. It could be your module is messed up as well. Jetty Jacob, let me throw you a link to this video from UAV Tech, just so you make sure you get your answer in case you didn't hear it. Will Pope, I have mid-throttle oscillations. Do you know what could be causing this? Will, the number one thing that I think causes mid-throttle oscillations is the motor PWM frequency. At least that may not be the cause, but it's the number one way to solve it. So if you are using BLHeli32, go into the BLHeli Suite program and change the motor PWM frequency, and that will, you basically want to change it from, I think, maybe as low as 16 kilohertz to as high as 48 kilohertz, and just work it up and down until you find a value that minimizes mid-throttle oscillations. That's one of the best ways to do it. That's what I think. Mid-throttle oscillations is a big, big, deep issue that you could just dive into forever. So in the interest of an answer I can actually give you on the live stream, that's the first place I would start. TJ from Bristol says, what causes Horus SD card not found in OpenTX Companion? TJ from Bristol, if you're using OpenTX Companion, in order to read the SD card, you have to have the radio plugged in mass storage mode. When you plug in USB, the radio should ask you whether you want it to be in game controller mode, like you're going to fly the simulator, or USB mass storage. You want to select USB mass storage, and then a new removable drive will pop up on your computer as if you had just put a new SD card in to a card reader. Once that happens, then Companion can read it. If you plug in the radio and you do not get the pop-up asking you whether you want to be in USB mass storage mode, then go into the radio setup menu, and there is an option there, USB mode, that determines, you can set it to default option. You want it to be set to ask. RC Thomas wants to know, how do you troubleshoot if a transmitter is not binding to any receiver? That's tough, RC Thomas. It's a FlySky transmitter. It could be a region locking issue. I know with FreeSky, there's EU and FCC receivers you could have, and they won't bind to each other. So I don't know if FlySky has that same issue, but that could be it. It's just process of elimination, though, RC Thomas. What you want to do is test with a different transmitter and see if it binds. Let's see. UAV Tech says, hopefully Joe Lucid adds PWM frequency to control to the JESC I've been nudging to. He says it's possible. What you're referring to there is, oops, come on. Let's get it. Here we go. JESC. Here we go. JESC is a project put out by Joe Lucid. He's a Betaflight developer. And the main thing that got this started was the desire to have bidirectional D-shot support on BLHeli S ESCs. So you could use the new Betaflight 4.1 RPM filtering function. That was going to be a BLHeli 32 only thing. Thanks to the work of Joe Lucid, it is now available for BLHeli S users as well. You flash a special version of BLHeli S called JESC, and you can use it. And currently, the big thing that JESC brings to the table is bidirectional D-shot, but it has a modular format where, in theory, you could add other functions like adjustable motor PWM frequency. So, there you go. Asa Aceman Grimes wants to know, will one flight control board be able to run 2 ESCs? Sure, it can run 4 ESCs, right? Andy RC in the chat. Hello, Andy. Thank you for being here. Oh, Andy RC, now marked as a moderator. Welcome, Andy. Let's see here. Yeah, 661 FPV asks, JESC costs money, right? That is right. So you pay an extra, it looks like it's about $2. You pay $2, and that money goes straight to Joe Lucid, who developed this firmware. So the people are a little bit, some people are a little bit annoyed about this, but at the end of the day, he did essentially all the work to make this possible. So if he says he wants to get paid $2 for it, that's on him. And if you don't want to pay it, okay, you don't get the functions, you know. But it's $2 per ESC. It's up to you. You could just buy, if you want to buy a BLHeli 32 ES. The thing is, the BLHeli 32 devs basically, the BLHeli devs basically said, we're moving to BLHeli 32. We're basically stopping development on BLHeli S. No new features in BLHeli S. And Joe Lucid went, well, okay, I'll take that. And he kept going development. If he says he wants $2 an ESC to get it, that's up to him. Yeah, per ESC, 661 FPV, that is correct. Per ESC. I'm 99% sure it's per ESC. Whoa, whoa, whoa. As a Aceman Grimes, be careful. Shall I splice the two SCs in one? Doesn't your flight control board have multiple motor outputs? So what's the splicing? That doesn't make any sense to me. Check out these super chats. I don't know what this currency is. Let's see if I can Google Translate this. Nope. Well, I got 2,000 of them. Let's see here. 2,000 South Korean won. Okay. 2,000 won. Thank you very much, MPOC Videos, for 2,000 won. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us plebs. No, it's not like that, but thank you. Just Van FPV, thanks for $20. Big donation. Thank you, Just Van FPV. Maybe you and Zoe should do a 3D setup video, Meeting of the Minds. Well, actually, Zoe and Cricket FPV Rotor Riot. Come on. Converting a freestyle drone to 3D. Zoe and Cricket FPV already did that. You can see it on the Rotor Riot channel. Zoe takes Cricket through setting up his drone for 3D, and then they go out and fly it. And not to spoil the video, but he kills it. He freaking kills it. So go check that out. Preston Millhouse, thanks for $2. What's Redbeard the Pilot? Thanks for $5. What's in your minimum viable FPV travel kit? Redbeard, I have a lot of stuff in my travel kit. I have a full set of tools. I have my TS100 soldering iron. I can solder. Obviously, my goggles and my transmitter. I've been taking the DJI goggles with me almost everywhere I go, so I can try those out under different conditions. If you want, I have a video, naturally. This is a little bit of an older video, but not much has changed. How I pack my low pro quad guard. This is, like I said, it's a little older, but not much has changed. And if you want to check that out, Redbeard, that's the video for you right there. I keep, like, here you can see I've got a miscellaneous little wires kit. Multimeter. Actually, some things have changed. That's not true. Some things have changed. Yep. But you know, a full set of tools: hex drivers, wire cutters, Leatherman, soldering iron, solder, spare wire. You know, that's sort of the minimum. What I try to do is have multiple quads with the same parts on them, so I don't have to keep spares. Each quad is the spare. Yeah. Streets FPV wants to know, working on a DJI quad now, can I just plug in MMCX to SMA and use my TBS antennas? Yes, but no, Streets FPV. The DJI antennas are left-hand polarized, so if you put right-hand polarized antennas on the quad, they won't have good range with the goggles. You can replace all the antennas with right-hand ones, and in fact, Lumineer sells, Get FPV sells a Lumineer Axi antenna set. It's 2 antennas for the Air Unit and 4 for the goggles, and some people have said it significantly improves range. I haven't tested that yet, but I've heard of it. Mike Cadup wants to know, what Leatherman do I have? I have the Leatherman Wave. That's the one I think is the one for me. Everybody's Leatherman is different, but I have the Leatherman Wave. I had a Leatherman Wave TI, a titanium, that they took from me at TSA. That's my fault, unfortunately. And if I had known how freaking expensive it was, I wouldn't have given it up. They were like, I was like, oh, I'll just buy another one. Well, it's freaking $100. I was really mad when I didn't remember how expensive it was. The TI is even more. How much is the Wave TI? Oh, they don't make it anymore, do they? Oh, the Charge. Was it the Charge? No, it wasn't the Charge. It's the Wave. Anyway, I lost my Wave. Dang it. There you go. Big Data Pimp says Gerber is way better than Leatherman. Them's fighting words, my friend. Them's fighting words. Giovanni Ramirez, newbie here. What website do you recommend for parts? Giovanni, I'm so glad you asked that, especially as we are just coming to the end of the first hour of content, and I like to put a little plug in somewhere in the middle of the stream. Giovanni, this is my website, fpvknowitall.com. And one of the things that's on this website is my ultimate FPV shopping list, where I try to show not the best parts, because there's so many good parts out there, right? But what I try to do is show you some, like, pare it down to something that you can, if you pick something off this list, it'll be good, and you're getting what you want. It's not the only thing out there, but the problem is when you're presented with so many different things, it can be really hard to decide what to get. So try to help you make a more informed decision. fpvknowitall.com is the URL, and it's one of the ways, by using those links, is one of the ways you can help support me, because they are affiliate links. I do get a commission when you use them. Okay. Jeremiah Drover wants to know, I have the LaForge V4. Is TBS Fusion necessary? TBS Fusion is definitely going to be better than LaForge V4. I haven't tested it, but I feel fairly confident in that. The question is whether it's going to be worth you spending all, another $100 and whatever to get it. That's your money, so only you can decide. LaForge is a solid module, but it doesn't hold a candle to modern high-performance modules like the Rapidfire. Andy RC, new moderator on the channel, says, I'm working on a DJI FPV video. Did you get any pushback from the people who are against DJI? I seem to be getting a lot of animosity just from showing a picture of having it. Yes, Andy. Andy, there are people who just don't like DJI on principle. Here's the people. Here's what's going on. There's some people out there who just hate DJI, period. Some of these people have had bad experiences with DJI products. Some people have had bad experiences with DJI customer service. They have a legitimate reason to hate DJI. Then there's people who just dislike what DJI represents. Corporate culture. Big brother. So anytime you talk about DJI, obviously if you talk about DJI in an aerial photography forum, everybody loves them. But if you talk about DJI in a hobbyist forum, there are going to be people who hate them. The other thing is, there's people out there who dislike that DJI is coming into our hobby. They feel like they're outsiders and they don't belong here. And so those people also give pushback. So yeah, the thing that bugs me is, it would be really easy to just hate everything, right? And to make a history out of just picking everything apart and hating it. You know who I'm thinking of? If you know the video game reviewer, Zero Punctuation, his name is Yahtzee. He hates everything. He basically just tears everything apart, and he's really entertaining when he does it, and that's just his shtick. And when you do that, people go, "Oh, this guy's keeping it real." But it's challenging as a reviewer to find a product that you are actually interested in, and maybe that you actually like, and then to say, this is good. And when it's a product like DJI, there's already people who are predisposed to disagree. Aha! He's bought and paid for. If he says DJI is good, it can't be that it's actually decent. It must be something else nefarious is going on. It's tough because objectivity and honesty means that when something's bad, you say it's bad, but it also means that when something's good, you say it's good. So I would say, Andy, here's the thing. The DJI system is too important to not look at. As a reviewer, as a customer, well, maybe you don't have $1,000 to spend. right? But as a reviewer, if you have the chance to test it and review it, you have to say yes. And then you have to decide what you think of it. And I'm not going to tell you what you should think of it. But if you think it's good, then you should say that. And there's going to be people, if that's how you feel, there's going to be people who won't like it because they don't want to hear that. Heath in the Discord. Thank you, Heath, for being a patron. DJI Phantoms absolutely ruined the FPV industry. We're trying to film them. They feel that their privacy is violated. They don't like those kind of drones and is given a bad name to all drones. That's tough, Heath. I mean, is that DJI's fault? Or is that just something that was going to happen when a drone became popular? That's tough. Anytime a hobby goes mainstream, it will change, and a whole bunch of yahoos will ruin it for the rest of us. I'm not sure that's DJI's fault. Calvo says in the Discord, DJI helped lead us to regulation and being accepted. Yeah, I mean, DJI, I think that the commercial implications of FPV drones were going to lead to regulation because companies like UPS and Amazon and Google want that regulation so that they can do business. Again, it happens to be that DJI was the biggest sort of player in the room, but I'm not sure that DJI is to blame there. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see here. Was it DJI or was it the users? Good question, Andy. Yeah, Andy RC. I mean, DJI made the drones. The users were dumbasses with the drones. Who are you going to blame here? Blame Google and Amazon. That's what I say. You know, if we look at idiots who did dumb things with drones and blame them for regulation, I actually think we're missing the big picture. The drivers of drone regulation are really companies like Amazon and Google and UPS and other people who want to commercialize the drones. And when we go, that guy is why regulation happened. I mean, that guy is still a dumbass for doing whatever he did with a drone, but it's really the commercial entities that are driving it, not it's a red herring. .661 FPV says DJI removed the barrier to entry that keeps most bad people out. That's not true, 661 FPV. I don't agree with that. DJI did remove the barrier to entry, but there are how many people who build their own drones do unsafe, dangerous, risky things with them? The bad actors were still there. Is the percentage of bad actors higher? That's tough. I don't know if you can say that, because the average person who buys a DJI drone intends to be law-abiding. They're just ignorant. But look at where FPV came from. Do you remember that video of TBS flying a wing around the Statue of Liberty and around the Brooklyn Bridge or whatever? That at the time, they are quick to point out that at the time, that wasn't illegal. I don't know about all that, but FPV definitely comes from like bad boys, right? So this idea that there were no bad actors before DJI let mom and dad get one for Christmas, I'm not sure that's true. I feel like that DJI customers would be more likely to be law-abiding if they were educated about what they shouldn't be doing. And that FPV pilots kind of have I built this, I'll do whatever the hell I want with it attitude. That's all generalizations, and there are exceptions, but I'm not sure I agree with your characterization. Now, 507RC is what we're going to spend the whole rest of the live stream talking about, apparently. But 507RC says, if companies like Apple and Microsoft didn't remove the barriers for computers, we wouldn't be here watching this live stream right now. Now, that's a very far-sighted perspective, 507RC, and I think it's worth keeping in mind that there was a time when to build a computer, you bought components and you soldered them up by hand. And you used circuit diagrams from a magazine. I'm talking about in like the 70s and probably not the 80s. I don't know. That's all before my time. And companies came along And they made computers mainstream. They made them dumber. They made it so even stupid users could use them. And today we are 50 years past that evolution where anybody can build a computer without ever picking up a soldering iron. Well, drones aren't there yet, but it is worth looking at the path that other technologies have taken from where they were as a highly skilled niche hobby through commercialization to mainstream acceptance. Computers changed, but they also got a lot better, right? So let's get some super chats, and let's make sure that I'm also paying attention to my patrons in the Discord. I can't ignore them for the whole stream. App user, thanks for 4 New Zealand dollars. Kiwi dollars, thank you, app user. Streets FPV, thanks for $10. Appreciate you. That's it. Jeremiah Drover, thanks for $2. Asked the question about the LaForge V4. I got that one. Pardon me, guys. Shouldn't sip Fresca on a stream. Groom Lake Fisherman, thanks for $10. Swapping out the R9M receiver module on one of my quads to Crossfire, I need to know what's used to tack the Immortal T antenna connector to the board on the new Crossfire receiver. It's a UFL connector, Groom Lake Fisherman, but the UFL connector on the Crossfire is a different size than the UFL connector on the R9. They're not compatible. So you just need to get a Crossfire antenna. Or do you mean the adhesive? For the adhesive, you could use E6000. What I like to do, though, is pass the Crossfire antenna wire back over turn it around 90 degrees or 180 degrees, pass it back over the board, and then just use some tape or something to hold it down, and that helps reinforce it. Nihil Albstad FPV, thanks for 10 Australian dollars. One of your backyard flights got me into this hobby. Cheers. Questions and thoughts on RealSteady Go. Nihil, RealSteady Go is super cool. It used to be that in order to use RealSteady, which in case anybody doesn't know, it's a stabilization software that stabilizes your flight video, makes it look kind of like it's on a gimbal. It used to be that you needed Adobe After Effects, which costs a lot of money, and then RealSteady itself was like $400 on top of that. Whereas RealSteady Go is a standalone software that runs on Windows and Mac, and I don't think it runs on Linux, but I don't know. And it costs about $100. The difference is it only works with a GoPro footage, and it actually doesn't work great with Hero 7. It works best with Hero 6. If you're trying to get stabilized results, RealSteady is, no question, it's the best you can get. And you got to do your research if you're using a Hero 7 because it has some quirks. And people have talked about ways to create like vibration isolation mounts to get the Hero 7 to work with RealSteady Go. But if you watch somebody like Air Blaster and you like the look of that stabilized footage, RealSteady Go is the cheapest way to get into it. Okay. ECP FPV asks, Joshua, what are your thoughts on the Jumper T16 after the little Crossfire problem and using it for a while? ECP FPV, I am fully behind the Jumper T16. I think it's a great radio. I've checked with my friends over at Grayson Hobby, a little hobby shop in Loganville, Georgia, who also does a lot of business over the internet. I checked with them, and they said that they were not having any reliability issues or returns or defects. And, functionality is great. There was a firmware release that it shipped with that had broken Crossfire functionality. But, then they released new firmware that fixed it. Hey, shit happens, so to speak. If you look at the Jumper T, if you're in the market for a transmitter around $150, you have to look at the Jumper T16. If you look at that and you feel like the functionality and price is a good match for you, then definitely go for it. 661 FPV. What's Guillermo doing? 661 FPV. Guillermo's a friend of the channel. He's never been in trouble before. Andy RC says, I still can't get RealSteady Go to work with anything. Wow, ouch. That's weird, Andy. I don't know what to tell you about that. I do know some people are using it. Guillermo, what are you doing, dude? He's trying to tag people, but he's tagging them using the wrong name. Ciati FPV here in the chat. Ciati FPV, Ciati is he came on my live stream a couple times and we talked about micros. He's helping me with a 3-inch Acrobrat build that I'm going to be doing as soon as iFlight releases these motors to me. They got some prototype motors they're going to be sending any day now. And Ciati had so much fun on my live stream. He started doing his own live streams. I assume he's going to do it again tonight. That's why he's here. But he has been streaming for a couple hours after I go off the air. So this, in about an hour, I'll finish up my stream. And if you want more info, especially if you want info about micros, which I don't know as much as him about. That's why I'm trying to learn from him. I should be listening to his live streams. But if you want information, especially about micros, but about anything else, he will be streaming starting at 10 o'clock on his channel after I go off the air. Ethan Mitchell, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Do you think analog video has reached its limit on image quality? Here's the thing. Analog can be high def. We use standard def analog because that's just what our equipment, our cameras, and our video transmitters are used to. But you can do high def analog. It just takes up a lot more bandwidth and is more complicated and has shorter range. I don't think anybody is going to be putting a ton of effort. I don't know. I mean, is Fatshark Bite Frost, is that high def analog or is that digital? I think that a lot of the technology the push is going to be towards digital. But I don't know. Nobody using NTSC or PAL, the standard definition analog standards, that's never going to get close to high definition digital. It just doesn't have the resolution. It doesn't have the capability. MBFPV in the Discord, thank you for being a patron, MBFPV. MBFPV says, I use RealSteady Go with my Session 5 on a special TPU mount on my Squirt. I get amazing results. There you go. Kroops in the Discord says, would you recommend setting runaway takeoff prevention off or runaway takeoff deactivate throttle percent to 15 to help solve my runaway issues? Gate hits are unbalancing my motors. Kroops, I don't ever turn runaway takeoff prevention off because when you forget and you put a prop on wrong by accident and the quad goes, Wah! Well, if you have runaway takeoff prevention, it goes, and that's good. I want that. But if you're hitting gates and the quad is disarming because of runaway, you need to lower the runaway takeoff deactivate throttle percent. I keep my runaway takeoff deactivate throttle percent, that's a mouthful, I keep that at 5%. So basically, when I first arm the quad, without raising the throttle, I bump the stick, left, right, forward, back. And I see if the quad does anything crazy. And what I want to see is that the quad goes bzz, 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 bzz. But if it goes bzz, then I know I have a problem. And if it goes bzz, then I know I really have a problem. So I set runaway takeoff deactivate throttle percent to 5%. I leave the throttle down. I jiggle the stick a little bit and move the quad around. And once it looks like it's not going to freak out, then I start to raise the throttle. And there you go. As soon as I raise the throttle, though, then it's deactivated so that it never disarms my quad in the air. There you go. Patrick Hannon wants to know if I'm going to review the Skyzone O3O Goggles. I am. My plan is to take those to, where am I going? Charlotte. No. Tennessee. Gosh. Knoxville. What the Dickens? Nashville. No. It's a city. It's the city in Tennessee. Chattanooga. That one. Wow. My hope is to take them to Chattanooga this week and test them thank you, Doug Greer. That's correct. And take them to test the module. Bogdan Musial, does Crossfire require a ham radio license? Crossfire is supposed to be licensed and not require a ham radio license. I think, is it Part 15 licensed? I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. Here's the thing, Bogdan. You're supposed to have a ham radio license for your video transmitter, at least in the United States. So you should have one anyway. Anyway. Yeah, Kyle K. Is 900 megahertz only the ISM band, Kyle K? Because in 5 gigahertz, there's overlapping ham and ISM. And our video transmitters are operating under Part 97. And so that is you need a ham license. Thaddeus Oliver, my friend, I remember earlier I said let's stay focused on FPV and not keep any potentially inflammatory, divisive, whatever, political. I feel like your comment, Thaddeus Oliver, has a certain keyword in it that probably crosses that line. Thaddeus says you have the right to speak and travel and to be armed. And when I see the word travel used in exactly that way, I start to think that you're a sovereign citizen, Thaddeus Oliver. And if you are, we are not going there in this stream, my friend. We are not going there. Let's see here. Dean, thank you for $5 in the super chat. I've been flying the Tiny Hawk a ton. Have been training with Sims. Looking to get my first 3 or 4 inch. What would be your recommendation? You've been flying the Tiny Hawk. So the Tiny Hawk, oh, I see. There aren't a lot of great 4 inches out there. If you want to get a 4 inch, probably you should just get a 5 inch. And I don't know why, but there's just very, very limited 4 inch motors that are very good. So I think I would be looking at a 3 inch, and I think the Diatone GTR 349 is a fantastic first 3 inch. That's what I would say. I mean, there's other good ones out there, but that's a good one. Dennis McCabe, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I tried to copy my models to the Jumper T16 using your video and failed. Jumper support said that OpenTX Companion is not supported. Dennis McCabe, Jumper is saying that you shouldn't use OpenTX Companion. I don't know why they're saying that. I can only assume that it's like not officially supported, so they're just trying to say don't do it. I showed you in the video exactly what I did, and it works. I don't know what to tell you. Dennis, if you want to, I'll be happy to work with you to try to figure out why yours isn't working. I don't think there's any technical reason why OpenTX doesn't work to copy the models, and the fact that I made the video and showed that I did it confirms that. Kyle K, TBS website says it's Part 15. There is a 900 megahertz band for hams. I thought so. So there's basically, when you talk about a frequency range, you can operate in that frequency range under different rule sets. One of the rule sets is Part 15, which is the unlicensed, and one of them is Part 97, which is the ham rule set. The video transmitters we use in 5 gigahertz are not certified under Part 15. Therefore, even though there is a part of the ISM band that overlaps with our frequencies, we are operating under Part 97. See, it's a different rule sets for different behaviors, you see. Like when you're on the highway and there's like no trucks in the left lane. Trucks are allowed there, they just can't be in the left lane. Well, there's a 900 megahertz Part 97 as well. I would be careful. Like TBS had in their TBS Unify user manual, they had a Part 15 compliance statement. And I said to Trappy, this was some time ago, some years ago, I said, Trappy, why does the Unify have a Part 15 compliance statement in it? The Unify cannot be Part 15 certified because it basically, without going into too much detail, like it has a detachable antenna. It just can't be. And he was like, oh, interesting. And then as far as I know, they took that out. But my point is that just because TBS has a Part 15 compliance statement in their manual doesn't actually mean they have, because if you look in the FCC database, it was never Part 15 certified, and in fact, it couldn't be. The reality is that probably nobody cares and nobody will ever get you in trouble. Okay. Folks in the chat talking about how to build a vibration isolation mount so that you can use RealSteady Go with GoPro. I don't have any. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Okay, Guillermo, I don't know what's... I think Guillermo, we're going to put you in timeout for now. I think Guillermo is... maybe had a little bit... enjoying his night a little too much. We're going to put you in timeout for a little while, Guillermo. Sorry, dude. No hard feelings, my friend. I don't know what you're asking, but I don't like it. 300 seconds. We'll see if he comes back. Got a couple more super chats coming in. Tater Tot FPV. Wow, thank you for $10, Tater Tot FPV. That's a big donation. There's some big donations tonight. Thank you guys very much for your generosity. Tater Tot, Lux F7. I disconnect the battery and the voltage on Betaflight slowly goes down. Takes 30 seconds to go down. The tested with the capacitor removed. Same thing. Tater Tot, the VBAT measuring circuit on some flight controllers has a built-in capacitor to smooth out the spikes and make the battery voltage reading steadier. That's all you're seeing. There's absolutely nothing wrong there. Don't worry about it at all. MC's Creations, thanks for 5 Brazilian reais. Did you try the Eachine VRD3, Joshua? I remember you showed it in the live stream. Anyway, I love it. I think the Eachine VRD3 is quite a good budget goggle. I still feel like the AV800D is what most people will like better, but the VRD3 is a solid one. Jeremy Sarge, thanks for $10. He says, thanks for the tip on the Skypack FPV backpack. I talked about this on yesterday's stream as being one of the biggest FPV backpacks I know of. Now you have one on the way. I hope you love it, Jeremy Sarge. For me, the Skypack is too big. Like, it's just freaking enormous. Like, if you want to carry a lot of stuff, it's the one to go for. But I like something a little bit more backpack-like. But I'm glad you like it, Jeremy Sarge. The Naked Pilot says, did you or are you going to take a look at the Nazgul? Yeah, definitely. The Nazgul, I mean, I've seen so many good reviews of the Nazgul. I have a feeling I'm going to like it, but I'm definitely going to get on some of that hot Nazgul action. Scooter FPV wants to know about the Caddx Tarsier. Any thoughts? Scooter, I spoke with Ciati about the Tarsier on one of my live streams that he sat in on. He's actually going to be doing a live stream on the hour after I go off the air at 10 o'clock. And you can ask him if you want his words. But basically, like, the Tarsier is probably the best of the split-style cameras that you can get today. It's not perfect, though. And what Ciati said is V2 of the Tarsier is going to be perfect. But there you go. Vanover uses a Skypack, Mike Alexa, and you should see how many freaking quads he gets into it. It's a lot. Stefan Kalau. Can my Taranis QX7S do an over-the-air update like the new R9 Access OTA receivers? I don't think so. The QX7 has no way to... You can't even put Access firmware on the QX7, so I don't think it can, and I'm not sure it ever will. Ciati says, wait for the RunCam dual lens setup. Ciati, have you tested that? Do you know that RunCam's making that, or are you just speculating? RunCam has announced they are working on a 2-lens camera. Very exciting. Very exciting. ECP FPV wants to know my thoughts about the Flight 1 Dolphin frame by Wild Willie. Well, here's the thing. I don't really know a lot about that frame. Let's look at it. Let's just look at it since you asked. Any minute now. Any minute now it'll come up. It's loading. Overloaded. Here's the Dolphin frame by Wild Willie. It's got an interesting adjustable up tilt on the front end. That's pretty clever. I do like that the camera can strap on without any special, like, I mean, you could use 3D printed stuff if you want, of course, but I do like that you can just strap a camera on with adjustable up tilt. That's pretty clever. Like it doesn't like blow me away as a frame, but most frames don't. However, it's freaking $35. Does it come with a warranty? I thought it did. No, it doesn't say anything about that. Well, anyway, for $35, I mean, I think it's certainly worth a punt. If you feel like it, if it appeals to you, then for $35 you can hardly go wrong. I mean, you're not going to get a frame much cheaper than that, are you? Not much. And then you help Willie out, and we all know Willie is, you know, he needs our help. David Hornbaker says, do you use your ham license aside from FPV? Nope, not at all. Here's the thing about it, and I know you guys out there who love ham radio, I apologize in advance for my stupid, uneducated, ignorant opinion. But here's the thing. We have the internet. You want to talk to somebody halfway across the world? Don't bounce a signal off the freaking ethosphere. You have the internet. You want to listen to a police scanner? You have the internet. We just do all that stuff over the internet. Oh, but what about when the big one hits and an asteroid crashes into the planet and takes the internet out? Then our ham radios will be so useful. Yep, you're right. But until then, I'll just stay on the internet. Sorry, ham guys. I apologize in advance. It's just like, unless you're a first... Here's the thing. If you're a volunteer firefighter, yeah, get a ham radio, for sure. Like, if you're hiking out in the wilderness, ham radio. What do I need a ham radio for? This thing works everywhere I go. It works everywhere I go. Thank you, Verizon. What do I need a ham radio for? I don't think I need one. Okay. Joshua just lost 300 subs. 300 ham radio enthusiasts just unsubbed from Joshua. Sorry guys. I gotta tell it how it is. Sorry. I've said that in private, but I've never said it in public because I don't want to insult people and offend people. I'm like, whatever, ham. Some people love, like my dad actually is a part of that. He lives out on Maui, and out there there's a lot more need for disaster preparedness because, like, you know, tropical storms will hit, and they're isolated, right? They live on an island, so they're much more isolated. He's a member of the ham radio club out there, and they'll go up on the top of a mountain and they'll bounce signals and they'll get contacts. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. I'm glad you're having fun. But, like, I just don't. I mean, one day after the big one hits, Verizon's cell powers are going to be back up again. Anyway, let's move on. Okay. Laszlo Jasko, thank you very much for 1,000 HUF. What's an HUF? Let's look. 1,000 HUF. Hungarian forints. Thank you for 1,000 Hungarian forints. What's the optimal weight for a 5-inch freestyle quad, including GoPro and battery? So, Laszlo, the answer to that will vary depending on who you talk to. But in my opinion, most of my freestyle quads come in around 600 to 650 grams, closer to 650. With a GoPro and like a 1500 milliamp hour 4S pack. That is on the heavy side. And a pilot like Alex Vanover, who is used to ultralight race quads, would hate the way my quad flies. Okay? But I feel like 600 to 650 grams for a 5-inch freestyle quad is like where I usually end up. If you can get it lighter, it will fly better in a lot of ways. Down to about 550 grams, I think that starts to be. But I think you give up a lot in terms of crashability and durability when you start going to a much, much lighter frame. And for me, especially when you fly freestyle in places where you may not get the quad back, Like if I crash on top of a roof or something and I need to be able to turtle mode out and fly home, I would rather give up 50 grams of weight to make sure that my quad and most importantly my footage are going to make it back to me. So once you get below maybe 550 grams, then the quad starts to fly really different. It doesn't carry its weight the same way, and you get a lot more sort of start and stop instead of fling and glide. So I feel like 600 to 650 is where I usually end up, not too much later than that. Jonathan K, thanks for $2. Jason Hubbard, thanks for $5. Is there a quad FC board that we can make it follow you like DJI? Jason, that's a good question. There certainly isn't anything like Betaflight or iNav because follow me functionality like DJI requires image processing through the camera. I don't know whether like Pixhawk or ArduPilot can do that. I would be surprised though. If I'm wrong, chat will tell me and then I'll be surprised. The thing is, DJI has so much proprietary technology in like their image processing, their obstacle avoidance. I'd be really surprised and impressed if a open source free project could match that. Let's see. Jacob Bothel does not speak Portuguese. No falamos português. No falamos. Wait, falamos is we don't speak, isn't it? No, it's first person plural. Present, indicative. Oh, my bad. It's been a long time since I spoke Portuguese. Where? There you go. El Skank Pile. Really? I'm just going to assume I'm mispronouncing that. Do flight controllers with Bosch gyros deliver cleaner data with less filtering? Good question. Certainly the Brain FPV people would say yes. That's why they use the Bosch gyros. It has, I'll say this, the Bosch gyro has a built-in filter. So there's the bottom line is that the filtering is either going to be in software or it's going to be in hardware. There certainly are people who feel that the Bosch gyro on the Brain FPV gives better results. I'm excited about sensor fusion on some of the flight controllers that support it. Anyway, I don't know the answer to that though. I wonder, I'm going to throw it to UAV tech again. UAV, whenever I think gyro testing, I think UAV tech. And maybe he could do a side-by-side with a Brain FPV. In fact, maybe he does. Maybe he already has. Bosch, B-O-S-C-H, that's right. Guillermo speaks Portuguese. Welcome back, Guillermo. Guillermo, I don't know why you were asking about my bathing habits, but I felt it was a little inappropriate, and I don't know. Let's just stick to FPV, Guillermo. Stick to FPV, my friend. Let's see here. UAV Tech still in the chat. Have you tested the Brain FPV, Mark? And have you tested it to see how it performs like against an MPU 6000? Good luck. Don't touch that. That's going to be a real controversial thing. Let's see here. Joseph Zucker, do you think the upcoming Fatshark HD system can one-up the DJI system? Joseph, I think that is going to be very, very difficult. The Fatshark system, when it comes out, DJI will already have a several-month head start on them. The DJI isn't just sitting there doing nothing. They are right now working on making their system better. So Fatshark, as much as admitted that DJI was ahead, and then so now Fatshark has to not only catch up, they have to exceed what DJI has currently done. That is a very difficult thing. I don't think you should count on Fatshark pulling it off. I hope that they do. Here's the thing. I think what DJI has done with their digital system is way more impressive and difficult than most people realize. I made a video some months ago titled Why High Definition Digital FPV is Nearly Impossible. Emphasis on nearly. And in that video, I laid out the significant challenges that had to be overcome to release a high-definition digital FPV system. And DJI has nearly overcome almost all of those objections, not all of them. And it's monumental what they've done. And the idea that somebody else is just going to come out of the woodwork and replicate that success, I think is a little bit fantastical. I think it's not likely to happen very easily. DJI has so much money and so many resources to pour into this development. And it's just a fact that no one else and they, by the way, they have that for two reasons. Number one is they are backed in some way by the Chinese government. I don't know what the exact relationship is, but that's what people have told me. They basically get grants from the Chinese government to make products to, I don't know. But also because they are focused on the photography drone market, which is much, much bigger than the FPV market. So they have so much money and engineering resources that they bring to the table, and they develop this system. And you guys think Fatshark is just going to go, we got this. I mean, Fatshark is a much smaller company with a much smaller revenue base. They have to find some way to, I mean, you're not going to beat DJI at its own game. So you have to find some other way to compete. And I would love to, and I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'm saying that you shouldn't just be like, don't worry guys, Fatsharks, they're going to knock it out of the park with this one. Exactly. Josh Bartell. Nice name, Josh Bartell. Josh Bartell, I think Fatshark will win just because of all the HDO goggles that are already in the community. Right. By making their system backwards compatible with existing goggles, now Fatshark has something that DJI never will have. But Fatshark isn't going to just make something just as good as DJI or better by snapping their fingers. Let's see. Ignacio Paz, thank you for $2. Your honesty is rare and very appreciated. Oh, well, thank you, Ignacio. Quad Shrinker, thanks for $5. Quad Shrinker has a tip for us. Banggood tip. Get the wrong stuff, no help from customer support, contest charges with your credit card. Amex refunded me after I got banged bad. Good, yeah. PayPal dispute. When I did a PayPal dispute once upon a time, the problem was that PayPal then kicks it back and wants you to resolve it with the vendor. So they just kind of punt the ball. The House Blog wants to, but if you're an Amex customer, you're going to be in good shape. The House Blog, thank you for $5. Do you enjoy FPV or the technical challenge of FPV more? The House Blog, to be honest with you, I love flying. I don't love building. I build because it lets me fly. I enjoy building, but if I was going to say, if I could fly and have somebody else build all my quads, I would. I'm not sure that's true because I guess I do like the technical aspect. The physical act of building is tedious, but if you never build, then you won't have the perspective on all the technical stuff. So I guess it's a little of both. Quad Shrinker, thank you for $5 donation. No question, just $5 donation. Let's check the Discord here. What do we got going on in the Discord? What's Juddy Jacob? Very good question. Juddy Jacob in the Discord. Still wondering what DJI's incentive was to develop the FPV system. That is a good question. And that is a question none of us, I think nobody's asking. I think I brought it up a little while back, and I'm glad I'm not alone here. Why did DJI develop the FPV system? And if you say, so that they could sell it and make a lot of money, you're wrong. Because the FPV market is not currently big enough, in my opinion. It is not big enough to ever sell enough units to recoup what I think their R&D investment must have been. That's just my theory. I could be wrong. I don't think DJI, and that's why everyone else who is developing FPV systems is targeting a much, much lower price point. because they know they'll never sell enough at a high price point. So, what is DJI's motivation? I mean, obviously they want to sell the goggles, but they had to have, if they had done a purely financial analysis and gone, yeah, guys, we're going to get these FPV pilots to buy our goggles, and then we're going to make $1 zillion. I don't think the bean counters would have ever let that happen. I heard a story. I don't know if it's true, but it's a story that's being passed around that after the Shenzhen FAI race, DJI was a little bit embarrassed that everyone is using analog video transmitters right there in DJI's backyard. And DJI was like, oh. So some people have suggested that it had to do with kind of saving face, that DJI wants to be a player in the racing market, and they just were able to dump that much money into it. Other people have said that DJI has other plans for the FPV system that go beyond like drone racing, and drone racing is just, you know, the entryway there. I don't know about that, but it could be. Anyway. I do think DJI intends to make money on it. I just don't think they possibly could think that they would ever make their money back simply by selling to FPV pilots. Craft King wants to know, can a Lumineer Lux V2 run smart audio? Yeah, anything with a UART can run smart audio. DJ Dubs says if Fatshark was smart, they would have partnered with DJI as opposed to HD0. Haha, DJ Dubs, you think DJI would have partnered with Fatshark? What does DJI want from Fatshark? What can Fatshark bring to the table that DJI can't do on their own, and from DJI's perspective, do better? I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether Fatshark would have been willing to partner with DJI, but I'm not damn sure DJI wasn't at all interested in partnering with Fatshark. So. Sir Brapalot says DJI did it because they wanted all the people talking smack to shut up when they showed how easily they can do what they're doing. Yep. Let's see here. It's rare for competitors to partner. That's true. Sharp Pizza says, do you have any videos on how a freestyle flyer can get into racing? Sharp Pizza, I do have a video about your first race. Let's see if I can find it for you. Nope. Oh, there it is. There it is. I found it. So I have a video about like your first race. Here's a link to it, Sharp Pizza. Give you an idea of what you can expect from your first race. But just basically take one of your freestyle quads and race it. You'll be slow, doesn't matter, have a good time. License to Drive says the founder of the Korea Drone Racing Association posted on Facebook that DJI want to charge $6,000 to $25,000 for broadcasting races with their HD system and hire them to do it. No sale, no rental. Very interesting. License to Drive. Maybe what DJI is interested in is the broadcasting consulting gig. The ability to broadcast events in high def. Wow. I mean, that's huge. Let's not. And for 25 grand, yeah, maybe that's where they'll make their money. I don't know. Let's see here. What are we looking for here? Let's see. Jetty Jacob has heard rumors that iFlight is a sub-company of DJI. I've heard rumors of that too. I'm not sure if that's true. I've heard some rumors. Let's see here. Jacob Bothell is volunteering to build my quads for me. Nah, I like building. I feel like if I didn't build, I wouldn't make very good content. So, Chachi FPV wants to know if I'm going to try the Skyzone O3Os. Yep, here are the Skyzone O3Os. I actually flew some packs with them yesterday, and I got to tell you, they're pretty freaking good. But the question is, are they better than the HDO? And that is I don't have the answer to that yet. But I am going to get the answer, and I'm going to make a review. So, looking forward to it. Cyberdrone FPV wants to know if DRL and DJI are talking. I'll tell you what, Cyberdrone. Right now, DRL has GoPro sessions on all of their quads, and as we know, the session's been discontinued. So I bet that DRL is looking for an alternative. Piranha32 says $25K for broadcasting seems excessive. Professional digital systems suitable for FPV cost $10K. Really, Piranha32? I don't know of any digital system that can do FPV like the DJI. I mean, at that size? No, I don't know about that. Guillermo says we use digital 4K transmitters in the film industry. Absolutely, Guillermo. Absolutely. Digital, high-def, low-latency 4K transmitters totally exist. But they're like this freaking big, aren't they? They're too big to put on a quad. Right. Splat Kitty points out, it's a quote from a website, who owns iFlight Technology Company Limited? iFlight Technology Company Limited is the holding company of SZ-DJI. Is that? I mean, that sure does seem... Let's see if we can find any reference to that. SZ-DJI, doing business as a Chinese... This is DJI. Where's iFlight? Where's iFlight? Yeah, but this is the page everybody's talking about. But the question is this, guys. Is this the company that makes motors that you're thinking of? Right? Yes, there's a company, iFlightRC.com. There it is. This company is called iFlight, and that's the company you're thinking of. And somewhere out there, there's a company called AI Flight Technology Company Limited, which is a holding company of DJI. I don't think it's a given that those are the same company. That's the question. Notice that it says iFlight here, but it says AI Flight here. I can't find any other references. Can't find any other references to it, though. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. No! No, kill me. So, that's the thing, guys. Everybody's saying that iFlight is a subsidiary of DJI. I don't think that's proven yet. I think there's something called AI Flight, which definitely sounds like something DJI would be a part of, that is owned by DJI. That's my guess. Let's see here. Andy RC says he doesn't think they're connected. I agree. I have dealt with both iFlight and DJI and have never seen any indication that they're the same company. That doesn't mean they're not, but I've certainly never seen into it. Alex says, hey, I will be getting into FPV soon because of your vids on the DJI system. If I'm starting from scratch, what chassis do you recommend for freestyle cinema? Alex, you definitely, if you're going to use the DJI system, want to look at a frame that is specifically designed to carry, or at least that you know is capable of carrying the DJI system. One of them that comes to my mind that I just released recently is the Rotoride HD1. No, I only know about this because it just... Hang on. There we go. The Rotoride HD1 is a version of the Rotoride CL1 frame that's specifically designed to carry the DJI Air Unit. There are some others out there that certainly are worth looking at. This is one that comes to mind now, though. Oh, wow. They're even selling a pre-built and tuned bundle for $500. Not bad. I will be looking for more frames that I know can carry the DJI System, but that's one that definitely comes to mind. Sterling Youngman says Finke did a Red Bull drift shoot with a 10K video system on board. Sterling, I'd be interested to see the details of that system. Like how many can you get in the air? How big is it? It can be done, but DJI brings a hell of a lot to the table in terms of they've designed the system from the ground up to be a production-ready FPV system. Depending on what do you think? Let me ask you this. What do you think the budget of DRL is when they rent out a freaking stadium and they put on a race? What do you think the budget is per race? And how much of that budget would $25,000 be? I bet it's not much. I just don't think you have a perspective, maybe a perspective on what DJI could bring. I mean, let's say you've got a $10,000 wireless system that goes on a quad. Okay, now you got 8 quads in the air. Oops, $80,000? No. If DJI could do all 8 quads for $25,000, that's a bargain. Jacob Bothell, who in production only uses 1080p? Well, drone racing. Certainly less. Quad Shrinker points out iFlight has a bunch of DJI-specific frames recently. The plot thickens. Could I beat Ladrib in arm wrestling? I think I could, Adam. I know for a fact that I cannot beat Chad Capper at arm wrestling. Chad and I arm wrestled, and I don't know why Chad has this idea that I was going to be, like, strong. I don't know, because, like, I have a big chest. I don't know what he was thinking, because Chad used to be a Marine, and he still exercises regularly, and I sit in front of a computer and make YouTube videos. So at Quad Camp, he was like, yeah, let's arm wrestle. And I was like, okay, I'm game. And he was like, no, when are you going to start trying? And I'm like, I am trying as hard as I can. And then he went, thump. I was like, wow, Bardwell, I expected more from you. And I was like, I don't know why you expected more from me. Like, of all the things you would think I'd be good at, why arm wrestling? Look, dude, I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I think I could beat Drib in arm wrestling. I'm pretty sure, though. I'll tell you this. If I lost to Drib, I lost to Capper at arm wrestling, and I was like, what did you expect? I'm not embarrassed about that. But if I lost to Drib at arm wrestling, I would feel bad about myself. Now I'm sounding like I'm putting Drib down. I think I'm stronger than Drib at arm wrestling. Not because Drib, I'll tell you what, Drib can kickflip 1,000 times better than me. He was doing some skateboard stuff in the Rotor Riot warehouse the other week. And I was like, wow, he can actually skateboard. So there you go. Mike Caddip, what's one thing you're good at that we wouldn't expect? Before I got into drones, I did welding as a hobby. Never did it professionally and was never particularly good at it, but I did enjoy welding. That's something. Was I good at it? I used to be decent at it. Did stick welding, TIG welding, never did MIG. I did some stick and TIG welding. There you go. No, Chris Connor, I don't skate. Thank you for the bravo, but I don't skate. That's why Drib can do 1,000 kickflips better than me, because I can't do one at all. Okay. Drib can put on eyeliner 1,000 times better than me. There you go. I don't know if Drib is still here. Okay, we're coming to the end. We got about 10 minutes left in the stream. Don't go. If you're thinking about leaving, don't leave, because as my stream finishes up, Aaron Ciotti FPV is going to be streaming, doing a Q&A. Ciotti is very, very knowledgeable about micros, more knowledgeable than me by far. So especially if you have any micro questions that I didn't get answered, you can definitely ask him. And, of course, you could ask him about anything else either. So he will be starting up on his channel in about 10 minutes. Whenever I go off the air, I'm going to go long just to keep him up. No, he's going to be finishing up, starting up after me. I will say this, License to Drive says I had a go at welding once. It was interesting. If you get good at welding, you'll be great at soldering. Because soldering is just like welding, but without melting the base metal. So, yep. Big Data Pimp says, have you told Capper he used to be a Marine? Can somebody help me with this? Because I'm not sure what the lingo is. I know that like once a Marine, always a Marine. Obviously, I'm familiar with that. But like, there's people who are actually on active duty, and then there's people who, are they retired? But if you like, if you did, I mean, when you say he's a retired Marine, I think he's like, 70 years old, spent his life in the service. If you just go in and you do 6 years and then you come out, are you retired? I know that I don't know, I never know how to say it. So somebody straighten me out. Former? Is that right? A former Marine? Doesn't that just like saying he used to be a Marine? Doesn't that mean the same thing? He's a former Marine. A veteran? See, I just usually... Because if I say Capper's a Marine, then you'll think he's in service right now. And he's not. I don't know. Former. Everybody's telling me it's former. Fair enough. Fair enough. Live free or fly. I just accidentally turned off my USB port. Now I can't... He's a veteran. That's good. You could just say he's a veteran. But then they might think he was in a different branch of the service. And then, anyway. I just accidentally turned off my USB port, says live free or fly. And now I can't connect to Betaflight. How do you fix it? Live free or fly. What you need to do is hold down the bootloader button on your flight controller, plug in USB, and that will let you flash the flight controller in bootloader mode. You will need to flash it with full chip erase selected. Basically, it wipes the config, and then you're good to go. Unfortunately, the only way to get it back is to wipe the config, so don't do that anymore. Oh, see, now here we got it. Mike Cadup says, is he a veteran? Was he in a war? See, here it goes. If you didn't actually see combat, then are you a veteran? I don't see. I should just have stayed out of this. I don't know. How long did Capper serve? You'll have to ask him. I don't know the details. And God forbid I get the details wrong. Now you tell me, people out there in the chat. Oh, yeah. Never mind. Dean, thank you for $5 in the super chat. When buying the DJI FPV set, you can choose between mode 1 and mode 2. I fly mode 3. Can you change mode 1 to mode 3? I don't think so, Dean. I don't think so. I don't have the DJI controller though, so I can't tell you for sure, but I don't think so. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Guess what? Chase has semi-FPV says, will FPV modules in the future be seamless in terms of changing channels and frequencies? Well, Chase has semi, the digital stuff like the DJI system just binds up and automatically sets each other to the right frequency. As long as we're using analog, you will need to set yourself to the right channel. However, the TBS Fusion module is adding some functionality, or is expected to add some functionality where it can like sync up the VTX and the module to the same channel. So some people are thinking that direction, but for the foreseeable future, most people are going to be working with the same system that we've got. And the real innovation is, I think, going to come mostly when there's a shift to digital. Jeremy Sarge wants to know if there are any upcoming quad camps. No, there are none on the schedule right now. We would love to do another one when the time is right. Kyle K wants to know, how is TBS syncing? Bluetooth? Kyle K, I think that as of today, that functionality doesn't exist, but that they plan to add that functionality like via a module in the head tracker bay or something like that. I'm not sure. It'll probably be Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, though. Because remember, the the Crossfire module, the full Crossfire module has Bluetooth built in. So you could have a system where a Bluetooth module in the goggle talks to the Bluetooth module in the Crossfire, and then you have full access to the quad, don't you? Can you connect Attitude V5s to a computer? No, Attitude V5s do not have an HDMI input, Chilogy. They do not have an HDMI input. Rectrician says, what's the story on that Bone Frog shirt you wear every now and then? I always thought that was a Navy SEAL thing. No, that is a quadcopter company. I'd have to pull their shirt out to remember who it was, though. Damn. Sorry about that. You can buy, Kyle K. Thank you for that's a good point, Kyle K. You can buy an HDMI to composite adapter and then plug that into the Attitude V5. You absolutely can do that, and they're actually not that expensive. They're like $20 for an HDMI to composite adapter. So you could theoretically plug your Attitudes into a computer via that adapter, but you couldn't do just a plug HDMI in. It doesn't have HDMI. Redbeard the Pilot, thank you for 5 more bucks in the super chat. Capper, he says, Redbeard says, Capper is a veteran. He was likely voluntarily separated as he's too young to retire. Marines maintain solidarity post-service. Fair enough. Flame Pygmy says, Get FPV is selling a kit to upgrade the DJI digital FPV antennas with Axis stubbies. Have you done any testing of the best antennas for the system? I would like to do that testing, Flame Pygmy, especially because at 25 milliwatts output power, the DJI system is pretty weak. It's pretty weak. Like, I'm not sure I would buy the DJI if I had to use it at 25 milliwatts. But people who have tested the Axis tell me that it does improve a lot over the stock DJI antennas, and maybe that could make 25 milliwatts like kind of usable. Okay. All right, guys. Woo. Live free or fly. Still talking about Live Free says, I held the button down and plugged it in, but I'm still having problems to restore the flight controller. Well, can you Live Free? Can you flash it at all? If you plug it in and you don't see DFU appear in the upper right-hand corner pull-down menu of the configurator, you need to download the Impulse RC Driver Fixer app. Run the Impulse RC, just Google it, Impulse RC Driver Fixer. Run that app, then plug your flight controller in with the bootloader button held down, and it will fix your drivers. At that point, you should be able to flash the flight controller. Okay. All right. I'm trying to get out of here now. All right, guys. We're going to wrap up. It's 2 minutes until. And thank you guys so much for coming out. Thanks to everybody in the chat. If you asked a question and I didn't get to it, I sincerely apologize. You're always welcome to reach out to me via email or Facebook Messenger are the best way to get a hold of me. I always do my best to answer your questions. To everybody who answered questions in the chat, questions that I missed, I saw you there. Thank you so much for all the support that you give to the community. Thanks to everybody who donated in the super chat. A lot of super chats this week. Thank you so much. And thanks to all my patrons in the Discord. If you would like to be in the Discord at the next live stream, then down in the video description is a link to my Patreon for as little as $2 a month, or more if you feel like I earned it. Then you can join up. And I always say, don't join the Patreon because you want like access to the giveaways or access to the Discord. Join because you're like, okay, Bardwell has really helped me out, and yes, take my money. That's how I want you to feel about your content. If ever you feel like, oh man, again this month, just stop. But if you've been watching my videos, if you've been enjoying the live streams, and that motivates you, be like, fine, take $2 a month, $5, whatever it is. Awesome. I would love to have you. The next live stream is going to be Sunday at 1 p.m. I stream Sundays at 1 p.m., Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern, pretty much every week. So definitely show up for the next one if you like. And the stream following me is going to be Aaron Ciotti. Let's see if he's got that stream up. I'll post a link for you guys. I don't see his live stream as live yet. He may not have started it, but here is his stream right here. This is his channel, Go ahead. There he is. There's the stream. He's posted it. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to let Ciati jump on. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week. Happy flying, everybody.